Rich man, poor man. Both can hunt. Both can hunt well. As you might know, I grew up poor, the bastard son of a single teenage mom in the South. Also Italian, when most people weren't. Talk about minorities. There were a lot of African Americans. There were not a lot of Italian Americans in the Deep South. So as you might imagine, not exactly well connected family wise, not exactly well off. No AC, no telephone for a while, sleeping on the floor kind of deal. Not complaining. Actually, I'm kind of glad I had that childhood, because one of the things I got to do was go out and hunt. Kind of the idea of babysitting was, here's a gun, go out in the woods, maybe you bring home some food, which I really enjoyed. And it didn't get much poorer. My first shotgun, my first gun was a shotgun, a 410 bolt action that my uncle, whom I don't ever remember that uncle ever using. He might have got it in a trade deal or something, or found it, or did some odd job and got paid in it or something and didn't want it. That uncle gave it to my other uncle, who was into hunting, for me, which is really nice of him. I barely remember that uncle, the one that originally had the shotgun. He died. But the other uncle fixed up that old shotgun for me. I don't know if he even worked. He had to do something with the bolt. I vaguely remember. I was really little. And he gave that shotgun to me. 410 bolt action Mossberg. So I hunted all kinds of stuff with that. Deer and squirrel and all kinds, just whatever I could. I think I even hunted ducks with it, if I remember correctly. I was young. I was a young man then. So young that I thought I remembered my first deer. And then one time I was talking to one of my relatives back home. They're like, "Oh no, you shot deer before that." And I kind of trust their memory, so I don't even remember. But you can get it done. A poor man can get it done. Ammunition, hunting doesn't have to be that expensive. You can get it done. The reason I'm bringing this up is that a lot of people really think that, especially for Western hunting, that you gotta have the ultra high BC bullets and you gotta have this and that. If you can't shoot 1,000-yard steel, you might as well not even bother. And if you don't have the $2,000 worth of whatever this year's Gucci camo is, the I don't know, was it Team Sitka or Team, I don't know, who's the other big camo conspiracy companies? First Light, then you're not even, you might as well just bang pots and pans together walking through the woods, because you're not going to shoot anything. But that's not true. A single shot shotgun that you can still have for $100 or $150 with inflation, whatever. Single shot 20 or 12 gauge shotgun, you can put food on the table. You can go out and hunt. Now, I'm not saying that's all you should aspire to. Obviously, I have better guns, but as long as I have a tag and it's legal, and you said that the only way you can go out is if you have to take a single shot shotgun, I'd say fine. That's fine. If you said you can't wear any camo, but I'm going to give you a sweet elk tag, I'd be like, fine. I'm not saying it makes no difference, but it makes very little difference. It's such a small spectrum of that. Now, that said, rich men can hunt too. The rich men have been hunting for a long time. Look at, many of your ancestors, the English. That's an aristocratic sport in England. A poor man is not going hunting in England. It's for the aristocracy. And sadly, in the South, now I grew up hunting in swamps and stuff in a lot of places people didn't want to hunt. But a lot of places in the East Coast, it's an aristocratic sport too. A lot of places you have to have a deer lease. Most of that's private property. And if you're poor, sadly, you probably don't have private property, not huntable private property. So sadly, a lot of that's become deer leases and hunting clubs and all that stuff. There just aren't vast swaths of open land. And if you can find a few pockets, it's like a pumpkin patch out there with just orange everywhere. So that said, rich men can hunt too. And I'm not going to act like money is not an advantage, but maybe not in the way that you think. Money is a big advantage in that you can travel, to go to the right spots. It's a big advantage in you can, if you want to, have a deer lease. You can buy tags. It would be nice if it didn't work that way, but it does work that way. You got money, you can buy tags. You can buy tags or, availability to hunt on, even if it's a regular tag on a beautiful private ranch. You're not dealing with the pumpkin patch of orange. You're not dealing with 20 other hunters, versus, 5 legal bull elk. You're dealing with 500 elk and you're the only hunter. That's a lot better. So I'm not going to act like money doesn't matter. Money can absolutely make a difference in hunting, but maybe not in the way that you think. And yeah, nice rifles are nice. Nice camo is nice. Nice boots are nice. And I'm not, so rich men can hunt too, and rich men can hunt well. But that doesn't mean you can't get it done as a poor man. I'm not going to sit here and pretend whatever the nice, an F-350 Super Duty is not a better truck than a Ford Ranger from the 90s. But you can go hunt in your Ford Ranger. You can drive that to your hunting spot, and you can put a deer in the back of your Ford Ranger, right? You don't need that F-350 Super Duty. Is it a nicer truck? Is it a smoother ride if you're taking a road trip to Montana? For sure. May you have to do a little bit more work, like putting on snow chains with your, two-wheel drive Ford Ranger. Yeah, you might, but it'll get it done. So I'm glad that we live in a country, and I don't have anything against rich people, where both kinds can hunt, and both kinds can hunt the way they want to hunt. I'm not going to act like money is not an advantage, and I'm blessed to have some money now, right? I've got more. One of my big things this year was picking which rifle I wanted to take. What a blessed quandary to have, right? Do I want to take this rifle or this rifle? Do I want to take the controlled feed, robust, rock solid one, or do I want to take the one that I shoot a little bit better, that points better, that's a little bit lighter? What a horrible, wonderful problem to have, right? But if I'd had to take any one of those, or a shotgun, as long as I had the tag and it was legal and I had the time, and the time is a big one, right? You can buy more stuff. You can't buy more time. That's something a rich man can never buy. And oftentimes, rich men, unless they were just born into it, aristocracy, and I don't know any men like that. The men that I know that are well off work their butt off for it, and hats off to them. I'm purposely trying to work less on my primary job. I wish that I could. It's just something with the new union and new... you wouldn't think that gunfighters had unions, would you? But we do. I'm trying to get permission to get unpaid vacation every week, so I can get more time off to work on the podcast and to spend time outside and hunting and shooting. But that being said, a lot of guys that work their butt off to make that money, they don't have the time, so they may have to pay to go to a private ranch to hunt, whereas you might have the time to get it done on public land. So you may have a major advantage, right? Broke rednecks in a trailer got a lot more spare time generally. And time is a valuable, valuable thing. So don't make the mistake of thinking that they have all the advantages. I guess that was my main thing. Don't think that the marketing, would have you believe that if you want to take an elk or whatever, that elks may be a bad example, because unless you live in a state that has elk, out-of-state elk tags are fairly expensive. But there are plenty of affordable Western hunts. So don't think that you need deep pockets to get venison. It's not a thing. And in many ways, I don't want to live there, but in many ways, I'm kind of envious of the people that get to hunt back east, because a lot of times you guys can get a tag a day, or, however many deer a year, a ton of deer a year. I get one with my resident fee. If I want more than one, I have to pay an out-of-state fee, and they're not cheap. I get a deer and a elk, an elk, a deer and an elk tag. That's it at my resident prices. So unless I draw a special, there are you can put in for a lottery to get an extra elk tag, which I haven't been drawn for a draw hunt in a while. But you get the idea. A lot of places back home, you could kill many deer and maybe feed yourself legally all year if you did it right. If you hunted archery and muzzleloader and rifle. Here, I have to pick. I don't get I can choose an archery elk tag or a rifle elk tag. It's kind of one or the other. I don't get an extra. I don't get to hunt archery elk and then hunt rifle elk, and you know what I mean? It just doesn't work that way. That said, I much prefer to live where I live, because I have, literally millions of acres of public land right behind the house, and you don't get that back east. And I would rather hunt with freedom. Anyway, but just some thoughts there on rich and poor hunting. So you have a lot of advantage actually as a poor hunter if you have the time. or even not a poor hunter, let's say a not affluent, not aristocratic hunter. But I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all that you do. If you're not into hunting but you're into shooting, I encourage you, at least try it, right? It's not rocket science. Yeah, you're going to screw stuff up. It's a lifelong learning experience. Every time I go out, I learn something. I hope. Otherwise, it's a big chunk of why I go out. You've never learned so much that you know everything about God's creation, just like you never know everything about God. Because even just his creation, which is a small reflection of his wonder and magnitude, is beyond our comprehension. But it's a worthwhile pursuit. If you're not into hunting, I encourage you to get out and try it. Like right now is the time in many places of the country. Get out and try it. Get your shotgun and walk around the woods with a variety of shells. And who knows, you don't even, as long as you're legal, who knows where you're going to shoot. You may shoot a grouse, you may shoot a quail, you may shoot a deer. Just get out and walk around and start there. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to screw a lot of stuff up. I still do. It's okay, but I would encourage you to get out and try and put meat on the table, and don't act like you need $1 million to hunt. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all that you do, and have a blessed day.